Okay, so yes, I'm Christian Young. I'm chair-elect, sort of the Young Members Board. Ostensibly, they asked me to do a presentation on the IMechE and the Young Members Board in 5 minutes, which will be interesting. I actually now realise the reason I've been put here is after Jodie's stellar presentation to bring us back down to earth and lower the bar again for anyone else to compete with. Yeah, I feel rather adequate now. So briefly, there's the IMechE in numbers. It's quite difficult to talk about an institution founded in 1847 by George Stephenson in 5 minutes and get it all in. So I just thought I'd give you the big figures. So that's 120 plus thousand very happy members, Colin, as everyone is who is a member of a professional engineering institution, I'm sure. And that's in 140 countries. That really is split into 16 UK and Ireland regions, and I've helpfully put that map up there. I assume that most of the people here would be from the UK or UK based, and I do know that obviously the intention of this is for inter-institution collaboration and network building, and actually often the different institutions' regions don't always align perfectly. So I just thought that sort of might just show you where those 16 regions are. Which we found before in our own interactions with people like the IET, for example. It can get confusing when you talk about the Northwest region, but they don't have the same boundaries. 7 international regions. I'm not going to put that map up because it would be the whole world. But if you want to know more, the information's on the website. And we broadly split ourselves into 9 major industry sectors are there. I'm not going to read them out. You can probably assume what they are. One thing that struck me when I was sort of compiling that list and making sure I was on brand and on message on the IMechE website is actually how interdisciplinary all those different sectors are. You won't find anything in there that is just purely mechanical engineering. In there, everything from electrical, civil engineering, probably some chemical engineering there in process. So yeah, even though we are the Institution of Mechanical Engineering, our primary areas, our 9 sectors, are all by their very nature interdisciplinary. So, the Young Members Board, 40 members plus, which represents all of the UK regions, plus a number of international representatives. We have, ideally, and we're always trying to recruit people, we have a turnover, a representative on each of the divisions and groups, representatives for each of the institution's key themes, so things like education, for example. I joined the Young Members Board 5 years ago as the education representative. And we have members from other institution boards. So that's people like TBAC, which is a wonderful acronym for Trustee Boards Awards Committee. So we have lots of prizes, awards and grants which are administered by groups like TBAC. The YMB is run by the exec, of which I'm a member. We have a chair-elect, 2 vice chairs, and a representative that sits on trustee board. And then finally, because we have a large international membership, and really it's not possible for something like the Young Members Board to make everything we do relevant to the whole of the UK and the whole of the international community, we have an International Young Members Committee which supports the Young Members Board, and they really take what we do and turn it into things which are relevant to the different regions, and they break it out and take it away, exactly like was described earlier with Chain. So finally, I'm just going to give you a bit of an introduction to the kind of projects and what the Young Members Board gets involved with. And I decided to focus, instead of inspiration, on innovation, because I think on the Young Members Board, we really see ourselves as the innovators within the institution. So, and the other thing I should point out is, when I showed these slides to other members of our exec, they said, oh, you've missed that project, you haven't talked about this. This is a select few projects that we get involved in, and I've kind of tried to pick the ones where I think they're the most appropriate and the ones that we would share out and the ones that would be really, really good for inter-PEI events. So the first there is our Great Events Guide. That was something that the young members came up with, looking at all these great things that we as a professional engineering institution do, and condensing that down into almost like a toolkit, a how-to book to run all these different events. Covers everything from social events, education events, all sorts of other things. That's available on the website. Anyone can access that. It's not just for members. Other institutions, you might find some ideas for events that you want to run. The next thing there, which most people in the institution might not be aware of, even the Young Members Board, because that is the STEM evaluation tool from the Year of Engineering, and I see Stephen nodding there, he probably recognises that image. That tool, which is the official STEM evaluation tool for the Year of Engineering, was actually designed and developed by the Young Members Board and the education director, Peter Feingold. So we had a really key part to play in developing that. That was my baby, really. That was my big thing when I joined the YMB. So that's also something that's been passed out, and now it's part of the year of engineering, and hopefully it will carry on for many years to come collecting useful data. Chain needs no introduction, that's why you're all here. And again, that was 2 young members, one of which, Nick Valentine, is a member of the Young Members Board. And finally, and I realised that one of our flagship events, which has been going for 60 years, doesn't actually have its own logo, which is Speak Out for Engineering, an event which promotes engineering, not just the technical content of engineering, but it's actually a competition for presentation, style and skill. And we have people in this room tonight, I believe, who are previous Sophie winners. I think we do, anyway. From memory, although I'm not 100%. So those are some examples of the activities, projects and events that we hold. But also the other thing is that the young members are very heavily involved in the competitions and challenges. So again, for those of you who aren't aware of these or might not know them all, the Design Challenge aimed at undergraduates, part of your university course, Railway Challenge, just what it says on the tin, UAS, Unmanned Aerial Systems, Home Automation Challenge, which is exactly what it says. That's primarily aimed at apprentices. And then finally, the best one there, because I took part in it, Formula Student. And I really have to make sure I say student there. I have a different name for it. But that comes from my university days. And again, just this is the last little bit about the Young Members Board. And it occurred to me again when I was pulling these images up, every single one of those is actually interdisciplinary. Not a single one of those does not involve some form of electrical engineering, for example. So I worked on Formula Student, and we had members of the IET who took part in our IMechE competition. It would be fantastic if we could get more interaction with the institutions at those competitions. That was the end of my presentation. I believe I've probably done just about 5 minutes, whoever's keeping time. What I did think there, though, just something that occurred to me as I was sat down there, George Stephenson, who founded the institution, was famous not only for being a mechanical engineer, but also a civil engineer. So even from the very start, we've always been interdisciplinary. How's that for an end? Thank you very much.